It's our longest river by far, the mighty Waikato. It's of huge significance to the local Tainui people and a national icon for many New Zealanders. But clean and green? Certainly not in its lower reaches. Swimming is banned below its junction with the Waipa, and dairy farming is seen as the main culprit by Environment Waikato, which has a huge education campaign going for farmers. The Council's Sustainable Agriculture Coordinator is Alan Campbell.
It's a lot better than it used to be. If you went back 30, 40 years and there were a whole lot of uncontained and unmanaged discharges to the river back then. Towns and dairy factories and all manner of discharges. We've managed to clean those up because those things are contained in pipes and you can treat that. The issue that we have with nutrients and bacteria is they're diffuse sources, they come from just running off the land, and so that's a lot harder to do. And that's a growing problem. So we got better, and now it's beginning to decline.
So you're not really very optimistic about the future for this river?
Oh yes, I am optimistic. Otherwise, I would find my work quite depressing. Yes, I'm optimistic, and I think there are a lot of positive signs in the industry in terms of making an adjustment. What's happened is that over the last decade, dairying has intensified at a tremendous rate, and the adjustments to farming systems haven't coped with that and with the off-site effects. But we've drawn attention to that, and we've worked with the industry, and I think the signs are very positive that initiatives from Dairy NZ and Fonterra, dairy section of Federated Farmers, there's a very substantial change happening. And farmers themselves are calling us all the time, asking for further information about what their options are. A lot of interest in storage, improving storage facilities. So a lot of positive signs.
In the last season, the Council prosecuted 5 businesses. That's serious. It issued 12 abatement notices and 56 infringement notices, which carry a fine. John Litchfield farms 700 dairy cows and 300 beef animals on 215 hectares near Waiuku, south of Auckland. He was issued with 3 infringement notices at $750 each. The work to fix his seepage problems did not come cheaply, but they were a blessing in disguise when it came to getting finance.
About $100,000.
Well, that's quite a substantial sum.
Yeah, but we did have all that. It was a stage 2 part of the project that we already had earmarked anyway. Right. With times of, going into the recession, It
was just money you had to spend earlier than you otherwise would have.
Yes, money that we couldn't, wasn't available for us to spend at that time. So, everyone at that time was having to tighten their belts, and it's very hard to go to the bank and say, hello, Mr. Bank Manager, 100,000.
Exactly.
But get infringement notices, you've got to get on with it. And in some ways, getting those infringement notices was good leverage, and to go to the bank and say, look, hey, we have to get this sorted out now. We can't muck around. We can't dwell on it. So. And
they were reasonable?
Very, very.
John took me on a tiki tour to show the areas the council had ordered him to fix. What actually happens here, and what did they want you to fix?
Well, originally the material effluent used to come into here, settle, and we had the pumps at the very end.
Right.
They were, the problems with that was that the pumps were in contact with the solid material quite often.
Right.
And we ended up having a lot of blockages and pump failures. And quite often it would turn on in the middle of the night, and if you weren't down here and the pump failed and it kept on filling, you'd have overflows. Right. So that became a big issue. Also too, we built this bunker in behind because the machine we have here that separates the liquid and the solids, the solid material used to fall on the ground onto a raceway that ran in behind, and the council were worried about the leaching that came out of that.
So what did you have to do to fix it all then?
Well, we changed the dynamics of the whole system a little bit, where we actually made a new pond in behind, which the pump and a better stirrer sat on. This rectangle pond just became a settling pond or a holding tank, so the material can come in here, stones can fall out of suspension, and any other material that's a bit heavier can stay here instead of going through to the pump and causing blockages. We also brought these precast slabs in to make a bunker, and we put about 60 cube of concrete through here. And all that also drains back into this wedge here, stone trap, so all the leachant and any juices are contained.
Council inspectors also zeroed in on effluent ponds which hold fluids after they're separated from solids in the effluent. Again, the problem was seepage. $13,000 later, John had lined his ponds with thick polythene and strengthened banks. Problem solved. What you've just been describing to me over behind us, that fluid separated out from the solids ends up in these holding ponds.
Yeah, technically this is called grey water. Has been screened, a lot of the solid material has been taken out. And this can be used for, like I say, spreading on pasture, or we can use it to wash surfaces again if need be. Right.
So what did the council want you to fix in this part of the operation?
In here we had one part of the effluent wall, or holding pond wall down the bottom, had eroded away just with stock. So we had a leakage over the top of that. We had to build one whole far corner up. We came in and took out of this pond about 500 cube of solid material, which was just sludge that was on the bottom. And that had to be spread, so there was a cost in that as well.
Yeah, there would have been. Yeah. So there was a bit of work that they needed done here, but it was mainly around leakage.
Leakage and just managing of upgrading this area in anything. Originally, this was where our old oxidation ponds that had been changed from an oxidation pond to a holding pond. We've actually got another one on another part of the farm, so we've actually got piping from here over there. So during the wet period, we can actually hold about 3.5 million litres of grey water.
John Litchfield's very proud of the work he's done, even if it did cost a lot. The infringement notices were a blow to begin with. Word gets around the district quickly, but he fronted up to his responsibilities. You must have felt, though, a bit kind of tainted in a way, that you were a dirty dairier?
Yes, very much, very much. There's a couple of days of being very upset. It's something you don't like to be tarred with. All farmers, they love the outdoors and love the environment we're in, so the last thing you want to be tarnished with that brush. So, but you got to get yourself off the floor pretty quick. You can't dwell on it. So you get stuck in and get on with it.
Now John Litchfield's a happily and proudly compliant dairy man. Welcome back. Now more with Fonterra Chief Andrew Ferrier, who runs the country's biggest company and the world's biggest dairy exporter.